Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Hello. We might sound a little bit different this week. We're doing a live in-person recording.
Yay, we haven't done one of these for a little bit.
It's been a while. But
it's been a while.
It's been a while. That's never going to get old.
It's never going to get old.
But let's jump in. I think, Trevor, you had a little bit of an idea of something we could do with one of our older ideas, one of our IPs,
intellectual properties. Well, technically, we'd have to pay some money to Brendan because he also helped come up with the idea of Starch Wars.
Yes, I don't think we'd have to pay George Lucas under parody sort of rules, but
he's set on Earth, in an alternate Earth where vegetables have taken over the world.
That's true.
Yeah,
so we're fine.
So I thought, with everyone making Vampire Survivors clones, why not discuss what it would look like to have Starch Wars or leafy vegetables or root vegetables and, later on fruits and all this sort of stuff coming in and being like a Vampire Survivors clone, and this is like the last survivor, running down and getting destroyed. Yeah. That can be set in different sections because you can select different fruits and all that sort of stuff, and they all come up with.
Well, so I like this idea a lot because I think there's obviously a lot of options for enemies and the player character and bosses and different things.
But also find little bits of lore, and they have they extract it out, and it's sort of like, okay, they've got these little survivors all over the place, and yeah, exactly. But
well, before we dive in too much, let's give our listeners who might not have gone back and listened, at least, I know you gave a little bit of an overview there, but the general idea is, that the root vegetables versus the leafy green, or the leafy vegetables in general, or sometimes sort of the grown in the ground versus I guess they're all grown in the ground, they're vegetables, but have been at war. At different times, we've brought in elements of this is a post-apocalyptic, all the humans are dead, and now there's mutated sort of vegetables, or, we don't have to go too far into how it happened, but that's the gist of it. And we've had a few different games in the past that have explored this.
A cute little story about Monique the Leak where they were, in school, and
that was post truce or something,
and since then, they've found out that they are actually in human society after something massive happened, and
I think they found the vegetables that killed the humans, or something. Was it they found
people in cryostasis, I'm pretty sure. So there's a lot of in our lore there, at the moment. I think humans are back and sort of working on the side.
I think though we set this in just the basic root vegetables versus leafy greens. So which side do you play, and which side are going to be the masses of enemies, do you reckon?
Well, I do like the idea of having different survivors, sort of you've got your typical carrot, you've got your all your root sort of vegetables, but they bring in some fruits as well. We always go a bit lax on what actually counts, so that we can bring in other foods. One side versus another. We can go into these ones have seeds, these ones don't, and therefore they're on the same side. There's all sorts of just ways
to discriminate, and it becomes a big problem in this society. But in the heat of the war, where you're a lone survivor on a battlefield, maybe a carrot.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've always classified carrots as a root, obviously, but they do have leafy
parts. So they can actually be, double agents sort of things.
Yeah, maybe we won't get too deep into that on this one. I think it needs to stay a bit more simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so I definitely
especially
like the
because
idea.
Onions also kind of.
A lot of things that do grow in the ground have greens above them.
Yeah.
I think it's more where the edible parts are, or anyway, it can be a grey area, but so is all war, and we're all war is terrible, and
we're having fun.
Is it wrong that we're recording this on Anzac Day?
We're talking about war.
Lettuce we forget.
Oh, God.
I'm going to get torn down for that one if anyone actually listens. Okay, so...
Get on social media and tear Ben a new one.
Sure. I'll defend it. Anyway. Okay. I like the idea of, okay, so we've got lettuce, we've got cabbage, we've got...
Cabbages, leeks.
Leeks, rhubarb.
Yep. Oh, I'm picturing rhubarb, throwing out stalks, which are, they're not poisonous, but the leaves are. Like, if the leaves get out there.
So one thing that did strike me when you first brought this up, in a way that we could kind of differentiate it from just a standard bullet heaven, as they're often called, Vampire Survivors is planting things.
Yeah.
And from a lore perspective, I don't know how that sort of necessarily fits in. Are you procreating? Are you just giving birth on the field? Whatever. But being able to plant things and they almost become like turrets, or if you wait long enough and they grow, they become a health thing or something. And
if they don't get destroyed,
that's it. You almost have to defend it then for a while, but it gives you a boost of some kind. That could be a really interesting kind of mechanic to add in there that I feel like hasn't really been done.
Yeah. And the idea of, you're sort of you're on the battlefield, you've been caught, and now you've got, waves of enemies coming in. As you're destroying them, you've got more enemies, more enemies coming in. But then having to, in this particular mission, in this particular one, you've got a mission that you have to, get to this one particular area, grab something, and once you get it, you can sort of, it doesn't matter when you die then, because you've got the thing, kind of like in Vampire Survivors, where you're picking up, in a particular run, unlocking a new weapon in a run, and it's just the idea of having maybe some extra little missions that you do on each time that you get put out there. It's okay, I've got to try and find this, and
I like that idea of having some objectives. Makes it almost a little bit more like an extraction aspect to
extraction aspect, but top down auto shooter.
So what are we thinking for weapons? Do they? I don't know if we've ever really discussed the types of weapons used in this war.
It was fucking technological as hell.
Yeah,
they had lasers and missiles, and
so we just go with
lightning and wherever the fuck we want.
Yeah,
it's basically where I'm thinking.
I'm just had a realization that there is actually a very popular Vampire Survivors called Brotato, which has some similarity.
Here's the crazy thing: potatoes are nowhere to be found.
Oh, there's no potatoes. They're because of Brotato.
Basically, to differentiate ourselves from Brotato,
we have
all potatoes have been captured, and maybe some of the missions.
Oh, maybe you save
you're
them.
Extracting a potato, but they're never playable characters.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah,
maybe a yam still. Maybe you can play a yam because
and sweet potato.
Different.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Fucking thing. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of, you can maybe extract with, a leafy sort of vegetable, and they become, an extra.
You can have defectors or something. Yeah, you could unlock them. Well, that's the thing. I was just thinking about the characters and the different, often in these sorts of games, you'll have different base powers or effects. So I think the carrot with its leafy head, maybe the enemies don't see you from as, you don't aggro the enemies from as far or something because they think you're a leafy vegetable.
One of the sort of effects that you can get sort of lengthens the leafiness of it, so that effectively it's the range increases as to the aggro range.
You've got
decreases
if you increase your sprout level. As any root vegetable, so if you're an onion, you just start sprouting out, your little leaves there. If you're a yam, you start growing eyes that are roots and shit out.
Or you know how if you leave a potato for a while, it starts
that's what I mean. Yeah, for sure. But I was thinking if you're an onion, something to do with like acid damage or like tear, making them cry when they get close, or you've got an area of effect at all times.
That just slows them because they can't see because of the tears.
Yeah.
Which is very similar to like, kind of garlicky as well. Like you can use garlic.
Right. That's true. And garlic could be a factor there. That could be one of our like homages to Vampire Survivors, is that you don't just get garlic as a weapon, you play as a garlic bulb. Yeah,
exactly. And it's your smell radius.
Yeah, totally.
That hurts people.
Yeah.
And the cry radius that goes further. But if you get something like, you get a power up, it's sort of like an injection that they just pump into themselves, and it's like, okay, now I've got onion powers. Like,
right, yeah, regardless of, for sure.
So, the holy water stuff, I'm thinking it's just vials of acid that they just start throwing out. Like,
from vampires. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the weapons, I think they can go in a lot of different directions. Again, Brotato has a lot of different stuff, so it's hard to get away from just, modern weaponry in that way.
Yeah.
We could go full on military and just have, fucking submachine guns and rifles and things. I do like the way Vampire Survivors works, where every weapon is quite different.
Yes.
In both the way it attacks and then the way that stats affect it.
Yeah. Like I do like when you think about, the knives, you have some influence over which way it's going to fire.
Yeah, because they fire out in front.
They fire out to the last place that you moved, is basically the last direction that you moved. Yes. Whereas something like the magic bolt is just going to like the closest.
I think, or a random or whatever it is, yeah. So, and I think we should explore the planting element a bit more too.
Yeah.
Because obviously you could have stats that affect that. If you power up you're growing, then they're gonna grow faster. You're gonna have less time that you need to defend them and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've got fertilizer powers of some kind that make the strength of them more, upgrade their stats once they're fully grown. Because I'm thinking it could be a bunch of things. Like when they grow, they could be, like a turret. It could be a companion that follows you around until they die. It could be, something that gives you a boost of health or something like that. Actually, that's where a synergy could be interesting. If you're the onion or you have onion powers and you're growing things, then the tears of the enemies could make it grow faster.
Yeah, exactly. Because effectively you're giving water to it. But of course, if some of the acid gets on it, then that can actually hurt it. So if you've got acid power, you just need to be very careful, because that's going to be dropping down, because it's going to be coming from above.
Yeah, you could definitely have the different pluses and minuses to how those types of attacks work together.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm picturing that, you can do it a multitude of different ways of, the first version is literally just going to be Vampire Survivors, and then we'll gradually move things away from that, because you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, if we were actually going to build this, like, the best way to learn often is to just replicate something that exists.
God, you just the best way to learn is by
beginning.
Good old Game Changer. If you haven't checked out dropout.tv and watched a few Game Changer episodes, that's
highly recommended.
Highly recommended. Well worth the, what is it now? Like $8 a month
or something Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to move on to some click pitch.
Yeah.
And this is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us. And on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we're going to get a new word each. And we're going to use those words as our jumping off points for more video game designs. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Okay. Just classic today?
I think so. One word each.
Yep.
Facet.
Ditto.
You weren't going to go first on that one. Okay, ditto and facet. So, ditto's an... I feel like we have to come up with an idea first before we can bring in ditto as a thing. Unless we
can always change it and go force it.
I mean, if that's where your mind's going, sure. Because where are you going with faucet and ditto? Do you have something in mind?
Like a sink, and then you've got a faucet on one side, and then you've got another faucet, so ditto. That's where my mind went.
Yeah. Okay. two faucets is interesting in a sense. I wonder if there is a multiplayer game there around draining water or doing something with water where you don't know when the other person is turning.
The temperature.
Potentially, I was thinking about, although that you don't know when the other person, like how much the other person has emptied or something, and so it's sort of about mind games, timing. I don't know what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
but I feel like that could be an interesting sort of thing. Maybe you each have multiple liquids that you're trying to
force out
the faucet. I don't even call them faucets here mostly. It's a tap. It's a tap.
Fucking tap, motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think there is an interesting mechanic there, but I don't know if it's something we can that I can exactly figure out.
So 3, 2, 1, click. That's how quickly we're going today. Like, just easier.
Fluttering
flag.
A fluttering flag.
Yep.
Okay. Trying to think of where a flag could have an interesting either narrative hook or gameplay hook.
I mean, for some reason, I'm seeing a fluttering flag on a car. Like
a diplomatic
sort of car, just fluttering in the wind as it's driving down the road.
Okay.
And there's something about that is sort of, just, it's a good visual.
Yeah. All right. So something political, potentially something around relations between countries.
Yep. For some reason, I don't want to include like Australia or any of the US countries.
Well, I often feel like, going fictional.
Yeah,
often
I'm sort of seeing maybe it's a diplomatic mission between two countries that have been at war.
Maybe
like fictional war, but there's a treaty at the moment.
Maybe just to really move it away from Earth. I like this idea because it's also ridiculous.
I was thinking about more around the Papers, Please, sort of those sort of random.
That's fine.
Crazy countries.
I had the thought of, what if instead of a car that the flag's on, it's a rocket? And then I like how ridiculous it was that you'd have the flag flapping in a vacuum.
In a vacuum, which is like...
which doesn't make any sense.
We've actually got, there's mechanics that are doing that to make it look right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it stays still.
What would happen? I mean... Yeah, I guess that's really interesting. I guess in a vacuum...
Nothing's making it move.
Nothing's making it move because it would need the air resistance.
Yeah, so there's no resistance. So you could have it just facing the other way.
Stay in. Oh my god, that's weird. I want to see that now. I want to see the International Space Station show that off
with a flag at the front.
With a flag on it. Well, it wouldn't even be down necessarily. It'd just be wherever it was last left.
Yeah, so it's sort of like...
Because there's no gravity either.
Hang on, let's just move this out. And it's like...
just leave it there. Okay, all right. I like the border aspect. I do kind of like bringing aliens into it then could be interesting.
Yeah.
Actual, between
how
planets.
crazy are some of these flags? I mean, I'm picturing sort of Day of the Tentacle in the fact that, yes, our flags are quite often, square, but alien flags could actually be almost like a costume.
They could be 4-dimensional.
Yeah. They could be 3-dimensional. We'll go there first.
I mean, yeah, okay. I guess the design, a 3-dimensional design, yeah.
It's like a box kite.
Yeah, it could be. Well, actually, I kind of like that idea of... So you're trying to figure out the nationality or the planet that an alien is from based on the flag, and all you've got is a fan. You have to blow on the flag so that it comes out. But if it's a 3D flag, you have to get it in the right direction as well, so you can see the 3D shape of it.
Because all you've got is a 2D representation of a 3D object. So therefore it's like, I don't see that side at the moment.
That's it. You have to match it up to your book to see if from a particular angle it matches.
And sometimes it may come in and it's like, that's actually rotated 90 degrees on the
you really have to use
Z-axis this, and therefore I need to think about.
I'm just thinking of what a 3D flag would even look like
Just a
as
fucking
such. Well, but no, I'm feeling like it can be different shapes, right? Like it can be
Anything.
for anything. Then
Could be a
It's
fucking
like-
octopus if you wanted to.
yeah, with its tentacles flailing in the wind. And it's an octopus race of aliens, so it's just they put
makes sense.
themselves on the flag.
Yeah.
It's like if our flags were in the shape of just a human body.
And look,
Inflated human
we
body.
don't know how it's going to actually be when we travel, into solar system or intersystemly.
Yeah, that's the term for it, right?
Interstellarly.
Interstellastic.
When we do that, we may have to come up with a different flag, and that flag may look
To
like
represent Earth. Yeah, that's true.
because we are unlike all the other things that live on this planet. We are the dominant species, so therefore we want to show off that we are.
Yeah, and it'll probably, knowing how our world is and who would end up being responsible for designing it.
It'll have a
probably
massive Johnson.
have a huge cock. That's exactly where I was going. Yeah, it'll be another. It'll still be representing the John Hancock of like extending yourself and over representing
and
yourself.
over time, that it's just gonna get whittled down and whittled down and whittled down until finally it's just the cock.
Yeah, the flag is just it's just a windsock then. That's actually what windsocks are now. They started as full human flags with cocks. All right, 3, 2, 1.
So the first windsock was a windcock. My word is core. C-O-R-E. Core.
Wig.
Ooh. What is at the core of a wig?
Hair, usually. Or is that the surface of the wig?
I think that's the surface of the wig.
Whatever you attach it to
I
the scalp
kind of
with.
like the idea of an anthropomorphic wig that is sort of collecting hair as it goes and sort
Gets
of
different streaks through it as
different
it
streaks through it and like it's
merges with...
it's trying to sneak through because it's like I'm picturing again an alien, but this alien happens to
Look, it's essentially just like a bundle of hair.
like a bundle of hair.
I'm picturing this in like hyper-realistic 3D graphics.
It's kind of
Like Unreal Engine hair
I'm
physics.
I'm just wondering where it actually goes through and like how much detritus it's going to actually pick up off the ground. And you're going to have leaves and shit all the way through the hair. And there's like every now and again you got to like
Shake
wash
yourself
it with,
out.
with conditioner
you got
and
to
all
find
this sort of stuff.
You got to find a shower.
And then you got to find someone that's going to brush your hair like 200 times and and then you can head off again.
Head off. You can head off on a head.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, I kind of like a stealth aspect to being a wig where you are hiding on people's heads.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you could then have sort of an action adventure / adventure game sort of thing where, the action adventure is the wig trying to get from this area to this area, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then you jump on someone's head, you take over their body, and you can sort of point and click-esque. You've now got a UI that you can only tell the person what to do, and it's how they actually...
Okay, you're sort of making suggestions almost, and you can like telepathically communicate with them while you're in their head, but they can't. You're preventing them from running, screaming, or whatever.
Yeah,
you've got that much control over them.
Well, you're not preventing as such. It's just that your body secretes a poison that happens to just calm them and be susceptible to things that you might suggest.
I do like that idea of then sort of social stealth where by jumping on their head you have to telepathically communicate with them, find things out about them so that you will not make yourself suspicious while trying to do whatever you need to do with their body. Yeah. So, maybe you need something from inside a building. You have to seek out bald people because you need that direct contact. So you wait for a bald employee to come along, jump on their head,
knock the construction hat off their head.
Oh yeah, that's part of the puzzle.
And then land on it. You get your tendrils deep into their brain, and
then you have to
administer the poison.
Then you've got like a dialogue tree with them, where you're basically they introduce themselves, they're calm, like you said. You've got the poison. And
it's not a poison that's going to kill them. It's a poison that makes them happy.
It's an anesthetic of sorts.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be on there for too long because they will OD and they will, start convulsing quite badly.
But as long as you're inside the building by then, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, you find out like, they have a relationship with the security guard, and they know about their family or whatever. So you can then do the right things to get through without making the guards suspicious.
Now, I think, what could potentially happen is the first person that you ended up on, like with their head, they kind of get addicted a little bit, and they may be seeking you out throughout the game. And I
was thinking earlier of you kind of a like reverse Banjo-Kazooie, where you play the wig. Mm-hmm. But you've got your buddy who is the person you're attached to, essentially. But I like the idea of that you're not always with that one person, but there is someone who is a recurring.
Yeah, they're always trying to get their fix.
Yeah, and you can't always use them because it's like, no, you're not allowed into the military base. You're a fucking accountant.
Yeah,
I need a bald general. But then they like help you out some other way, perhaps. Yeah. Cause a distraction.
Yeah, they're up at the front going.
There's an alien wig. It won't let me. He won't get on my head.
Oh, we're gonna have to take you.
We've got another one of the crazies.
Take you to the barracks and put you in the brig. And
yep, exactly. It's like, and we're gonna have to get General Baldy to come.
It's like
yes, and then you're in his pocket.
Okay. I really love this, and I love the idea that we don't need the whole idea of collecting hair anymore, because I'm just imagining that
I think it's just
you can basically just bring out the hair that you want for.
You're like an octopus. You can like change the pigment.
Exactly. I love the idea that you get on General Baldy's head and he just goes, I really have always wanted the
luscious locks.
blonde hair down to here, and it's like
Fabio style.
It's like, yeah, he looks at himself in the mirror and he's like flexing and stuff, and he goes, yeah, okay, so the nuclear codes are
I don't need this job anymore, I'm going to be a male model, because he doesn't realize that you can just leave.
So you administer a little bit too much poison and you leave him unconscious. And
how are you picturing the like interface and stuff? I feel like definitely sort of a platformy kind of jumping around
for the most part,
as when you're just the wig.
Yeah,
but you like.
I'm thinking. 3D is probably where it's at for this.
I mean, I definitely want to. I mean, I guess this could work in 2D as well, but like, as this wig is like jumping around, you need to see that hair flowing behind it, like great either animation or hair physics that just.
And you know what? I said something about detritus in the hair. That never happens.
No, you've got
it's
self-cleaning.
It's self-cleaning. Like it's
you can extrude conditioner,
and you can bring it in. You can actually bring it into
a buzz cut.
Into a buzz cut just to sort of get around.
What are you? Is it just like a little fuzzy blob then?
It's kind of like a skull cap with just, the short back
is it like
sides.
Concave underneath though? Like, I guess it would have to be. It could go on people's heads.
It's always got that concave shape. So it's
like
it sort of uses
bouncing around.
It uses the back.
It's like a slug.
No, I'm not thinking it's on the ground. I'm thinking it's it's got 4 legs. The 2 sideburns are like the front legs, and then you've got like.
So you have to grow out your sideburns to run. Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Well, the sideburns automatically grow because it's like that's your legs, and you can sort of gallop along, and then you can jump from
I like that. I feel like
back of the head.
I feel like I've seen a cartoon or something with like running hair like that.
I mean, I'm just literally thinking of the Simpsons Halloween episode where Snake's
I think that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. And he shoots it. Although the cops shoot it or something. Yeah.
But it gets put on Homer's head and, it fills that into his brain. He turns into Snake trying to kill.
That's what I was thinking of.
I just watched it recently with
I need to
the family.
I can have to look that up after this to see how it runs. Yes. So basically that.
Yes.
And then when you get on someone's head, I almost feel like it sort of zooms out a bit and goes to like maybe a fixed camera sort of view, so that like you said, it's more point and clickish than and it's almost like you're viewing sort of a security camera of it or something.
Yeah, it kind of turns into a 2D.
Or at least just fixed perspective, like at least just fixed camera.
Yeah. You have the initial discussion with the person, and and you can exit that anytime that you want, and you've got basic control over them. I think depending on, I like the idea of after a while you come up against someone who's actually allergic to
hair.
No, to your poison. So therefore, like they start going downhill very fast, and so therefore you got a time limit that you can be on their head.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to do
irreparable damage.
There's ways around it. Like there's additional people around that you can use, but they all happen to be. You're in a commune of people who are highly allergic to things, and it just so happens that I don't know. It's sort of like
well, again, they may be the only bald person around, so maybe at some point you have to convince someone or have someone convince someone else to shave their head so that you can merge with them.
I mean, we know at one stage you're going to merge with the president of the United States, who's going to be bald.
Yeah.
And in fact, then you go down into
well, actually, you find he's
a laboratory, and you see Donald Trump's his hair was actually one of these alien things.
Well, I was going to say actually that the president. I don't know. I don't want to use Trump, but like the president wasn't bald, but you find out that his hair is another one of these things. Definitely. Cool.
Well,
I think that's all we have time for.
I think that is all we've got time for.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. If you'd like to find all of our previous episodes, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Give them a listen. Leave us a review. Let us know what you thought.
To check out the start and end song of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance. Mountain Defiance off of the album. Fuck. Should have given me the beard band. If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure by the band Kuridas. You can find it for free at kuridas.bandcamp.com. Go check it out.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And am I leafy or root? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Do you feel like a root?
Leave me alone.